भगवत कृपयालब्धम सद्गुरुम ईसम च तत्कृपालब्धम जानन उपकृति मखते परमां भक्तिम आत्मनुते. Hi friends, thanking Mr. S. Kannan from Srirangam, who is the sponsor of today. We shall think on the lines of karma theory. Karma theory is one of the essential dogmas of Hinduism. This lecture has for its target a conviction about karma theory, a defense against the ridiculous arguments posed towards karma theory. This is to convince those Hindu believers that the karma theory is not an irrational one. It is basically a rational and scientific dogma. And I have no other motive than this. I have a few points to present before you. But for karma theory, we do not get a good image of God. You see, we are all believers in God. Atheists and ascetics, agnostics are beyond our purview. We are inside a believer's circle. Once you believe in God, you must have a good picture of His character, His qualities, what stuff He is made of. We should understand that. Karma theory, first of all, helps you have a good estimate of God. When you look over the globe, when you look across humanity, you must not get any dissatisfaction about the creation of God. Everything must be tangible. Everything must be reasonable. If you cannot find a justification for the types of creation, and if you have the slightest doubt about the nobility and sincerity of Godhead, it is a failure of Hinduism. Hinduism has for its basic support this karma theory. But for it, you cannot have a complete view of Godhead. According to the Vedas, God is a personage of very good qualities, blooming to the rim. He lacks no good quality. Every quality of Him is laudable. So, you must be able to convince yourself that there is nothing faulty in God's creation. And karma theory is the basic supplement for that. First of all, look upon the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom, the flora and fauna. What do you find? To say that all animals and vegetations were created for man to eat is very easy, simple also. But think of those animals which are not edible. Think of those plantations which are not edible. You will understand that the only purpose of creating animals and vegetation cannot be to offer food for man. There should be some other design. You watch the animal behavior, you will find, of course, there is a wide gap between human civilization and the animalistic pattern of living, but you can very easily notice that animals do have emotions. They have their passions, anger, lust, sex, homely feeling, parental care, possessive nature. All these things we can have in our sight. What is it due to? We cannot simply set aside that all animals are meant to be killed by us, to be eaten by us. Animal kingdom, when watched closely, will reveal that there is a particular creator's motive behind it. Animals behave in a decided way. They have their own family life. They have their own frustrations. Perhaps they are not able to convey. Karma theory says that every animal is something like you. It's almost a replica. Only thing is, it has some incapabilities. It cannot speak, it cannot think, it cannot write or read. But an animal has something which you have. What is it? The soul, which most of people are not ready to accept. Animal is a certain stage of evolution, spiritual evolution. Darwin put it as a biological evolution, but karma theory says it is a spiritual evolution. It is a stage in spiritual evolution. And then karma theory teaches you that even plants have feelings, they have sufferings, they have happiness. If you read the Shastras, they say that a soul will be born as a plant, a soul will be born as an animal, a soul will be born as a fish. Every living being has a soul, and in the spiritual evolution, it is standing on a particular step. Not only that, it also says that there was a time when you were an animal, when you were a plant. But this is simply laughed at by non-believers. People who do not have belief in this karma theory laugh at this. But karma theory is steadfast. It is not affected by such ridicule. It asks you to look into yourself, to look into the hearts of your neighbors. You can find traces of animalistic behavior in the hearts of human beings. Man behaves like an animal on many occasions in expressing his anger, in expressing his possessive nature. Where did all these qualities come from? Karma theory says, you were an animal once upon a time, and still you have that residue in the heart. That is the cause of the behavior. Among men we can find different cadres, the highly evolved man, the highly cultured man, whereas we find men who are very near the animal kingdom in behavior, selfishness, cruelty, vengeance, murderous tendencies. Karma theory says man is just the next stage in evolution after the animal. So, Depending upon the residue of animalistic tendencies in a man's heart when he is born, he commits sins or good deeds. The word karma means deed, an action. Deed, mental deed, physical deed, and oral deed. It can be subdivided into three. Man is judged by his deeds. That's what it means, karma theory. Animals are not judged by their deeds because they don't have the sixth sense. Once a soul takes up the body of a man, he becomes accountable to God for his behavior, because he is a man who can control his mind, who can think for himself, who can take decisions. He can foresee future, whereas animals can't. So, every action of man, sleeping, eating, reading, speaking, scolding, everything is accountable. It either adds to your score or deducts from it. That is how we find different levels of living in human society. Some are rich, some are poor, some are well cultured, some are not, some are beautiful, some are not, some are tall, some are short, some are happy, some are not. And you can justify the headship of the creation as God, as a neutral God, with equality towards his children, only if you accept this karma theory. The karma theory stands before you and explains why the children born of the same mother are different in their qualities, in their luck, in their appearance, in their intellect, and so on and so on. Once you are convinced of karma theory, you don't feel like blaming God for anything. If you remove karma theory, and Hinduism minus karma theory will lead you either to agnosticism or atheism, or a spiritual pessimism. You won't feel like accepting God as your father. If he is a neutral father, if he is a noble Godhead, why should he create a handicapped man, a suffering man, a diseased, a born a maniac, a born leper, a born blind, a born deaf? All these shortcomings are not due to his creative ability, they are the results of man's deeds, karma. You can find a regular pattern in society. Nothing happens by accident. There is a regular discipline nature follows in carrying out the course of nature. It's all the result of karma. Once you accept it, you find that everything places itself in its slot properly. And you can account for the longevity of a person. You can explain the short-lived nature of a person. And all drawbacks of life can be accounted for. Now, why should God be partial to man in saying that he will be judged by the deeds while all the animals are let free? They are free to do anything. If a dog bites another, that dog is not punished by God. He says it's an animal. Why is it so? In the lower births, karma theory says, man gradually learns to eat, coexist breed and live as a being on earth. The soul enters the unicellular animal first, then gradually rises its level to higher levels like fish, bird, then quadrupeds, to educate itself, to acquaint itself with nature. So in animalistic life, an animal at the most gets angry only when its basic rights are being interfered with. It does not go to hurt another animal just for no reason. You would have seen in interesting animal channels of TV, once a lion is hungry, it will kill another animal, say a stag, a deer or a goat, and eat. But when its belly is full, it won't harm any other animal. You can see goats and deers playing near the vicinity of lions and tigers because once their stomach is full, they don't go for hurting animals. So that much of coexistence they learn from nature. That is one stage. And in the human body, the soul has to learn sacrifices, giving up for others, controlling passions, to hold your anger in suppression. So such education is awaiting him in the human body. And in human society, God fashions the society in such a way that in a minor percentage there are great souls who are monitors who can guide the rest of the society. Such spiritual leaders, they are very much sacrifice minded. They are ready to give up anything for the sake of others. They have learnt the inner meanings of nature very much. They teach them the secrets of nature, creation and God. They tell you how anger is bad, how excessive lust is bad, how occupying another's place is bad, how wishing for another's possession is bad. So there they are to teach the remaining society. Then the next cadre is the following disciple cadre. These people, they are not as great as their leaders, but they accept their preachings and they try to practice these principles in their practical life. Then comes the third cadre, the public masses, the public at large, who is not that clean, who is not that pure. These people tend to commit flaws, mistakes. They tend to become sinners very easily. And this third level is somewhat animalistic. And they have to learn from the second cadre. The second cadre learns from the first cadre. So being born as a man is admission to a school of experiences. Life is a school of experience. Man educates himself by experience. They say experience is a peculiar teacher. It gives the punishment first and the lesson later. Whereas in normal schools we find we get the lesson and if we don't abide by it, we get the punishments. But life is the other way about. It punishes you first and gives you the lesson. So by experiences, you learn things. So what happens is, when you are born again and again, say in 10 births, you get rich experiences of sufferings, happiness, being afflicted by others. Your soul gets mature. It is for this holy reason God has created us as men. When man is very much evolved, karma theory tells you that even a leaf suffers, even an animal suffers when you kill it for eating. Till you reach that level, you think that any animal can be killed or eaten, any plant can be plucked and used for personal use. But once you get evolved, you come to understand that every grain you eat, every leaf you pluck, every animal you injure ends up in a karma. So what happens? Man with his spiritual evolution stops eating. Karma theory controls eating. Karma theory allows eating to your heart's content as long as you are in the lower cadre. When you come up, karma theory says even eating injures your fellow beings, eating corrupts your mind. So an evolved man starts giving up his affinity for food. First of all, he becomes a vegetarian. Till then, he found nothing wrong in killing a goat or killing a bird or killing a fish to fill up his belly. But once his soul is mature enough to understand that he is hurting those beings by doing so, he becomes a vegetarian. Then after becoming a vegetarian, first of all he eats like a glutton. There are gluttons in vegetarians also. But gradually, even vegetarian diet, when you consume very much, it affects your mental control. You lose control of willpower. Your scriptures say that eating must be kept under check. Only then you can keep your senses in control. You find these Jain sannyasis, they tie tight their mouths so that they will not kill bacteria. While walking along a road, they sweep the road with a peacock feather so that they won't trod upon worms or ants. They become so humanitarian. They are very much averse to harm other living beings, to kill other living beings. And the next level is, Hinduism says you become a rishi. Once you become a rishi, you stop eating completely. What happens? Every swallow you take in of food dirties your mind. Once you stop eating, once you learn to live without food, your mind becomes clean. You get great attainments. And that's how we read about rishis who starve for hundreds of years, live for thousands of years without eating anything. And that is an ultimate evolution. But coming to the practical level, leave alone rishis, leave alone highly evolved souls. Let us come to day-to-day life. In day-to-day life, karma theory does you some good. One is, it avoids social jealousy, vengeance and competitions unwantedly. You see, a man becomes jealous because of his wealth. But once he has a conviction about karma theory, he comes to an understanding it is because of his punya, good deeds he did in the previous birth, that he is rich, and it is because of the papa karma he did in the previous birth, so he is not that affluent. Once he gets that conviction, karma theory chases jealousy out of your heart. He pacifies himself. Well, this is my karma, that is his karma. So, a social balance is brought in. Society balances itself morally, spiritually. Mind you, law, judiciary and police, they can control a society only to a certain extent. Beyond a limit, it is religion that controls a society. The social discipline is maintained mainly because of the spiritual awareness, not by military force. So, karma theory helps a smooth social life. Unwanted envy, coveting others' properties, it is conditioned by karma theory. Of course, there is a lower cadre which is not very much interested in karma theory. It goes for criminal pursuits. But once you start learning about Hinduism properly, going through the pages of books on karma theory, you get a realization that every thought, every word, every deed you do is taken into account. That decides your future, that decides your fortune. So, if you want the emancipation of your own soul, or emancipation of your own social living, if you want a happy life, you will have to accept the principles of karma theory and act accordingly. Once you start wishing for the welfare of others, once you start working for the happiness of others, the stock of your papa, your bad deeds comes down. That can be seen, that can be realized in practical life. That is why they said this karma theory is the backbone of Hinduism. You can be a Saivite or you can be a Vaishnavite. You can belong to any branch of Hinduism. This is the common denominator. This is the common foundation for all those branches. They say, avoid bad deeds, go for good deeds. So they enter into the acting part of your life. You might be a commercial man, you might be a merchant. Even there, this karma theory enters. They say, be correct, be moral in your commercial transactions. To wish for profits, to hope for money is not bad. But to wish for sinful money, greedy acquirements is bad. That is where karma theory plays its own role. And Hindu society, down the ages you can see, for thousands and thousands of years, has been following a particular course of progress. A Hindu society has been a highly accommodative society. The society, with all its ups and downs, has been united in thought because they accept this karma theory. The British people ruled us, foreigners ruled us, but they were really touched by this kind of equanimity. They could find a strange unity in diversity in India. In India, we have more than 22 states. We have so many languages, so many ways of dressing, so many differences in eating habits, but the basic thought is conditioned by this karma theory. The Ramayana is one for everybody in India. Mahabharata applies to everybody in India, regardless of their caste, creed difference. This karma theory is the basic tying rope which holds India together. This gives you peace of mind. You are not disturbed by your neighbor's richness. You are not disturbed by the opposite houseman's handsome appearance or beautiful wife, because you know you have been given what you deserve. He has been given what he deserves. This contentment comes because of that. If you remove this karma theory and popularize Hinduism without it, you will find once again a chaotic society. You will find that religion is a great failure in India. But so far, for so many thousands of years, religion has been a success in India because of their basic understanding of karma theory. Even the most illiterate man of India can give you a few tips about karma theory. What is practiced as a very high discipline, among others, is practiced by a man of very low levels in India because he knows something about karma theory. Karma theory is the most ingenious one. Some say that a big flaw in karma theory is that no one remembers what he was in the previous birth, what his deeds were. But the answer of the karma theory here is, I might have been a man talking some other language, perhaps I might not remember that exact language or exact words of the language now. But learning a language depends upon the evolution of Bhasha Tattva, Saraswati Nadi in you, that comes with you for births together. If I had been a Bengali in the previous birth, if I was a good scholar in Bengali, and now if I am born in Madras state, and if Tamil becomes my mother tongue, perhaps I might not speak Bengali, but the basis of Bengali is Bhasha Tattva, the principle of languages. Learning a language is a capacity. Becoming eloquent in it is a capacity. Getting by heart verses and the text in a particular language is a capacity. That capacity continues to the next birth also. That is how we find in one classroom, we find one boy is very intelligent, another boy is not that much, because of this linguistic continuation. So, the basis of knowledge, the root cause of intelligence continues. But remembering the exact details, first of all, is not biologically possible, because we know in one and the same life, we do not remember what happened some 30 years ago or 40 years ago. How can you expect to remember what happened some 100 years back? That is one thing. Secondly, remembering whatever happened in the previous birth and having a capacity to identify all those who were born in those births before by looking at them now in this birth will end up in great chaos. It is not going to end up well. Remembering the past can do some good to a certain extent. But if I remain fully with the knowledge of what I did in the previous birth, who my relations were, now if I happen to meet them in other bodies and if I am able to identify them as those who caused me some harm in the previous birth, the sense of vengeance bubbles up, troubles shoot up. So God is kind enough to hide it from us. And the Shastras say that in the womb of everybody's mother, everybody remembers whatever he was till the time of delivery. When the baby is being born, a certain gas called Shatavayu comes and conceals your memory and sends you to this world. It's out of grace God does it. And experiences, the result of experiences are never erased. If I was a good horse rider in the previous birth, in this birth perhaps I am not having horses, but the same talent will exhibit itself in riding a motorcycle. Perhaps I will become a champion in motorcycle, in operating a two-wheeler. So technical excellence remains. The type of machines may change. Languages may change, but the linguistic basement will remain. That is the way we find differences in skills, in acting, in singing, in writing, in poesy, and in all kinds of skill. So, this results in man's spiritual evolution gradually, and you will understand that God has an ultimate target for every soul. He wants to hold the hand of every soul, take him along a path which will end up in his spiritual salvation. That is what he is interested in. And these are all different stages of cadence a soul has to pass through. And once it attains that maturity, that spiritual maturity, God is happy with it. And God gives the knowledge that whatever he has been thinking as wealth till then is just nothing but Maya. Maya means wonderful in instability. Nothing is stable in life. Beauty, monetary status, love, hatred, all are merely temporary. Once the soul understands the greatness of this principle, it develops a sort of liking towards Godhead. Till then, its attachment is towards nature and its objects. You see how man develops many scientific products from nature. Whatever technological advancement man has done so far is because of his intelligence, because of his application to nature. And every man is attached towards these objects. The houses he builds, the machines he makes, the kingdom he creates, the friends he makes. But all this, the Upanishads say, are mutually united because God is inside it. A mother is dear to a son because God is in both. The God in mother and God in the child, that is the cause of mutual attraction. If one person is very much affectionate towards another, it is because of Godhead in both. This affection is necessary till a certain stage. But after that, he must understand that this was only a temporary upliftment. He must give it up, he must shed it off, and he must divert his attention, divert his love towards the Almighty. That is what karma theory teaches you. Karma theory wards off rebellious tendencies. That is, take for example, in a particular street, there are 3 rich men enjoying life on account of their monetary strength, eating whatever they want, dressing however like they want to. The remaining houses are very poverty-stricken, poor people. They are struggling for the next meal. They don't know where from they will get the next meal. So these 2 sects of people are able to coexist in the same street because there is an understanding of this communalism. That is, karma makes the difference. The rich man's karma is behind him. The poor man's karma is acting upon this man. So, though he feels sad that he is not as rich as that man, he has a spiritual conviction that it is because of karma he is suffering. So he does not go for communal rebellion. He does not go for stabbing him. He does not go for plundering him. In some countries in world history we read that the poor people plunged upon the rich people and plundered them. He does not do it because of this religious conviction. So, karma theory gives a communal harmony, a social smoothness. And whenever you are faced with great difficulties, this karma theory keeps you strong in your faith in God. However much you may suffer, you can read in Swami Vivekananda's lectures. He says in one place, I have faced poverty so face to face that I did not know where from the next meal will come. I did not know where I would sleep the next night. For more than a decade, I have spent life like that. I have been well seasoned by poverty, by difficulties, by starvation. Now, even at that moment, he did not lose his faith in God. While wandering in the streets of Chicago, he writes a letter to his fellow sannyasins that there might be a chance that I die of starvation in USA, but even then you please do not give up your faith in God. That is God. God's grace will help you. He writes like that. How is that? Because This karma theory, his conviction in karma theory, gave him that strong faith that even amidst difficulties, I will believe in God. If I am suffering, it is not because of God, it is because of my karma. So he puts the blame upon him. He is not putting the blame, it is realizing who is really guilty. So in India, poverty has come and gone several times, but it has not made people atheists. Whereas in other countries, we come across very great men, writers, becoming atheists because of some calamities in life. Because their faiths do not give them the proper clue. That is how we find amidst poverty, the great souls of India have done great service to us. And not only that, every ordinary man is raised up to the level of a great soul by this karma theory. And this karma theory has kept Indians so smooth and peaceful that history says that for more than 10,000 years India has not gone for conquering other nations. You please show me a single page of history where you find that India invaded against some other country. It went and sat upon the throne of other countries. No, it would never do that. Because India was contented with its lot. India knows that India has its karma. Indians were ruled by karma. Indians were never covetous like that. We read about Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great, where was he? From that country, he rode all the way to India, the Roman Empire. They were very proud in spreading their empire all over the world. But all those empires could not stand steady before the blows of time. They vanished. They destroyed. Because the motive was not good. Conquering upon other countries, sitting upon others' shoulders unjustly was never the motive of Indians. Because they knew that their own karma is sitting upon their back. They will reap the harvest of their own deeds. So I would say that this karma theory is a very essential principle, whether you are an Advaitin or Advaitin or Visishtadvaitin or a Saivite or a Vaishnavite. In this principle, all the branches of Hinduism are tied up together, they stand firm, they keep the society in a balance. Come what may in life, we are faced by great thunders of difficulties and calamities in life, but still we are able to survive because of our conviction in karma theory. So, we must not lose this doctrine. We must know how to defend it, how to perpetuate it. If you understand the rationale behind it, it is not something based on mere belief. Usually they say all religions are based on blind faiths. You simply believe that there is a God. You simply believe in the scriptures. That's what we are taught. Okay, that is right to a certain extent. But this karma theory is not only built upon the strength of faith, but also on principles of rationality. It has a rationale behind. And if you understand that, you will find a meaning in every happening of your life and others' life. You will find society is not operating itself just like that. There is a holy machinery acting behind it. God is inside every deed, every creature. The whole society is moving towards a certain direction with a principle. It is something like a military commander directing his subordinates, the army, towards a direction. That is how it works out. Even in Kali Yuga, where it is said that sins will rise up, when dharma will go down, even there is a design. There is a particular pattern. And we find even in Kali Yuga, God's grace is available all the more easily. You see, in Krita Yuga, getting God's grace was not that easy. Lord Krishna says, in Kali Yuga, God's grace is easily available. Srimad Bhagavatam says that even mere Nama Sankirtana will make you holy, because age Kali was created by God so that dharma will suffer very much. But as a compensation, God gives another gift to man. By mere chanting of names, he can become holy, he can get God's grace. So, to stabilize Hinduism, to stabilize your mental tranquility, to stabilize your happiness, to keep up your family in unity, to keep up the society's peaceful state, karma theory is very essential. It can be taught as a lesson in schools. Formerly in those days, in India, in schools, religion was taught. A branch of Hinduism was taught as a lesson. But nowadays, in the name of socialistic progress, they have taken it off. And it's a very sad thing. A growing boy must be taught about karma theory. If he is a Hindu, he must be taught how karma theory is the basis of Hinduism, how karma theory is a unique theory in the world, how it stands above others' head and shoulders in its greatness, how it has stabilized India as the master race of the world. Pythagoras, Socrates, and Aristotle, even such people have thought in the same line. If you read the books written by those people, we can understand that they have had an impact of Indian thinking for their share. We get shades of references about this, the same thinking. Those people thought that rebirth is possible. Rebirth might be a convincing solution to all problems of life. Socrates, Aristotle, Pythagoras, these people thought that way. They are far away from India. They say great minds think alike. So just as the rishis of India thought, they also thought. I have spoken in one of my YouTubes about Darwin. Darwin thought in the same line. That is why he evolved this evolution theory. He says from the unicellular animal, we find the development of body to the monkey level, then there is a missing link, then we find the human body. He is right to a certain extent that these are the body levels that a soul has to cross. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. It reaches the human body, then from there it goes for emancipation. That is the right analysis. So this current of thinking has affected all the world genii. So, what I feel is, just as we have in the college syllabus, say physiognomy, biology, physics, chemistry, technology, mathematics, algebra, we can have this karma theory as a section of learning. I would like to face more and more counter arguments about this. Supposing you open it up as a subject in colleges, probably the next generation may come up with a few objections to it. How and why they do not believe in it. We would like to face them. We would like to face questions, because only on face of questions answers come. Only when you are faced by protests, you get solutions. It's always good. But this karma theory has been in India answering the test of time for millions of years, for thousands of years. Krita Yuga is how many millions of years back? Even from then the same theory is being held up. You would have heard about Dalton's theory about atom. There was a faith that atom is indivisible. But later, after a century or so, the theory was blown out. They said atom is divisible. In science, every idea is revised. Every new finding or discovery is went back upon. Whereas this karma theory stands the same for thousands and thousands of years. So many intellectuals have come and gone. So many genii have gone through it. There have been hundreds of attempts to blow it off, but nothing succeeded because truth is there. Truth always wins. Satyameva jayate. So, let us understand that karma theory is a great treasure that God has given us. We will keep it up. We will not be ashamed of proclaiming it to others. We will not be ashamed of claiming that we are rich with philosophical knowledge on this account. And that will strengthen our faith. That will take us nearer to Almighty. Thank you.